Hello everyone, back to today's second video doing the GWV Sunday Round Up. As always on a Sunday, you're going to have a bit of an eclectic mix of different things to look at. We're going to look at solar activity, the Arctic Oscillation, North Atlantic Oscillation, weather next week to 10 days, and a few other bits and bobs as well. So I'll go over that for you in a second. Just say about today's first video, we've done the third analogues update for the summer. We're looking at dry Aprils and what that could mean for the summer. The video text is on the homepage. Just scroll down page and the link adds. And later on today, that video is going to be placed on the summer updates and forecast page with a written report, so you'll be able to come back and read that a little bit later on today. So we'll start off with centering temperature. It's ticking down from where we started. So we currently stand at 11.2, which is an anomaly of 1.5 degrees above average. Provisional to the 5th. This will be updated later on. I expect it to tick down further because it's a very chilly day through the central England region yesterday, so that might go to 11.0 or maybe a little bit under 11 degrees actually in the next couple of days when all the facts and figures come in. So we have had a mild start to May, but again we have this idea when we give a May forecast that we probably wouldn't have an excessively hot month, and I think that is beginning to play out. It was a quite warm to start off with, but I think we're going to have an anomaly again around 0.5 degree to a degree above average for this month. I think it's unlikely, never rule anything out, but I think it's unlikely that we'll be up at around 3 degrees above average, such as we was back in March. I'll keep you updated on that, of course. So in terms of solar activity, this is the solar disk on our side of this today from solarham.net. Have got a couple of sunspots, one just there and one is just there as well. Solar activity is officially designated as being at very low levels today, as it has been over the past few days. Here's the GWV Spring Season Daily Solar Activity Tracker. This has been updated up to today from our good friend James Ackroyd. Thanks to James for updating this and sending it through to us. So the trend lines are moving down. We had that big spike in sunspot numbers that took us up to there right at the start of April. That's the biggest spike in sunspot numbers since around a year actually. You've had to go back about a year to find a spike in sunspot numbers like that. Very quickly crashing back down though, and this is where we are right now with those sunspot numbers. We are at very low levels, as I said, and the trend lines, which are the thick green and the thick red lines, those are all moving downwards, so very much declining down in solar activity. We may get some more spikes upwards, but in around 18 months we're going to be at solar minimum. Thanks to James for updating that. A couple of people asked me about the QBO. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. There hasn't really been any updates at the University of Berlin website, but I thought I'd just bring you up to date where we are with the QBO, because you might not see the video a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about this. So we're still in the westerly QBO, which is indicated by this grey area just here. The easterly QBOs are indicated by the white areas on this chart. We have the failure of the easterly QBO from 2015 to 2016. That's this period just here. We should have been doing something like that with a big white area through that period from 2015 to 2016. What actually happened is that the easterly QBO failed, and the westerly QBO came back. You can see that by that grey area just there. That's the first time that we know of that that's ever happened. Now, we can only go back to 1950 reliably, although we can go back a bit further than that, perhaps to the start of the 20th century in some respects. As far as we know, certainly back to 1950, we haven't seen anything like this before. Possibly we have never seen anything like that in terms of the failure of the QBO. It is kind of like a pulse, like a heartbeat. It should be very consistent, the westerly and easterly phase of the QBO. So the weather did something very unusual and possibly unprecedented in 2015-2016. Now, the latest is that we're possibly going into the easterly QBO again. You see that area just there, we've got a white area beginning to appear as this grey area looks like it's starting to get pushed downwards. That could well be the beginnings of a return, or attempt anyway, to return to an easterly QBO. We probably won't go into an easterly QBO for around another 6 months, really. But that might be just the beginning. If it is, what's going to happen is that this a white area will appear and do something like that, such as we see up there with that white area there. That's an easterly QBO from 2009, 2010. And then again up here from around 2012 into 2013. That's another easterly QBO. So the reason we look at the QBO, remember, all of these indexes, they're just telling you what the atmosphere is doing. They aren't driving anything. They just sort of tell you what's going on. The QBO is reflective of the zonal westerlies. So when you're in a westerly QBO, your zonal westerlies will tend to be enhanced and stronger. You have a stronger zonal flow around the northern hemisphere and around the North Pole. When the easterly QBO is in the ascendancy, then you will find that the zonal westerlies are weaker. The atmosphere will kind of reverse. So you don't totally lose zonality, but you get a weaker version of zonality in an easterly QBO. So an easterly QBO can be, not always, but can be a signal for colder weather in the winter, because obviously if you're weakening the zonal westerlies, but the UK and Europe anyway, then you have a chance of setting up northerly and easterly winds. So the easterly QBO is one of the things. It's not a guarantee at all, but an easterly QBO is one of the things that possibly favours a colder winter. We may be in an easterly QBO for the winter of 2017, 2018. But, of course, because the easterly QBO failed during 2015, 2016, because we had the failure of the easterly QBO, it's very difficult to say whether we will get an easterly QBO this time. I think we're going to wait and see exactly what the atmosphere does. We should get an easterly QBO, but we need to wait and see and stay cautious on it. Anyway, we might be starting with the easterly QBO. That's the latest on that. So that's for anybody that's been asked. I've had quite a few questions about that over the past few weeks on Twitter and elsewhere. This is Siberian snow cover, so we can see that it's still got a lot of snow actually across particularly northern Scandinavia up here, and also across northern parts of Russia and then back into Siberia. I think we're probably quite a bit above average in terms of snow cover for this time of the year, particularly probably not back here into Siberia, but particularly in this area up here, sort of northern Russia and into Scandinavia. I think we've got more snow cover there than you would typically expect. The reason for that is that it's pretty cold at the moment. The Arctic and North Atlantic oscillations are negative, which is brought about by blocking, and that blocking is keeping this cold weather and snow cover going in northern parts of Russia. Let's have a look at the Arctic oscillation. So this is the AO observed and forecast chart. The black line here tells us where we've been with the Arctic oscillation. The red lines where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. So we've been generally positive with the Arctic oscillation. We've been talking about this in the videos recently. Been generally positive with the Arctic oscillation way back into the winter. We can go back to the start of January just there with this, and if we go back a month before that to December, we would see that we was positive with the Arctic oscillation in December as well. We are very negative though right now, so that's where we are right now. We've trended down into really quite negative territory with the Arctic oscillation, and we're forecast to stay negative for quite a while actually. The red lines here are gradually lifting up. Remember, this is the forecast part from the GFS ensembles. The red lines are gradually lifting up, but they're only trying to get back to neutral, and even that looks a bit flimsy really. I think the overall outlook going into the second half of May, which is this period just here, the overall outlook still seems to be negative to me with the Arctic oscillation, albeit not quite at the same level of negativity that we are at right now. So that tells you that we've got a very extensive blocking over the northern latitudes, and that's what's forced the Arctic Oscillation into negative territory. And it's the same story for the North Atlantic Oscillation as well. The black line here tells us where we've been with the North Atlantic Oscillation. The red line is where the North Atlantic Oscillation is forecast to go. And, well, again, we're very negative with the North Atlantic Oscillation at the moment. It's been a long time since I've seen the NAO go as negative as that on these charts. Forecasting to stay negative, very gradually lifting up, but not really ever getting back to neutral during the second half of May. So I think overall we can say that we're going to keep the North Atlantic and the Arctic oscillations in negative territory over the next week, certainly, albeit probably trending less negative than we are right now. So the blocking will tend to relax a little bit. But overall, very block signal, I think, for the next week or so. This is how the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average, about average with the temperatures at the moment. We're forecasting things to turn a bit warmer at the end of the week and into the weekend. So I think we will lift the temperatures up at the end of the week and into the weekend. And it looks like we're staying around average with the upper air temperatures into the second half of the month. That is going to be this period just here. As these temperatures are turning a bit warmer, we're also getting some precipitation coming through. So we've also got some rainfall on the way at the end of the week into the weekend, and possibly unsettled into next week as well. And that covers that period just there. So if you take the ensemble at face value, very dry for the next few days, so around the end of the week, then it looks like we turn more unsettled. Have to be cautious on that, because we've been in a prolonged dry spell. What's been tending to happen is that unsettled periods and rainfall tended to get downgraded, with high pressure very quickly returning. So whilst that does look like we're going to go into a significantly more unsettled spell any time from around the 10th of May onwards, I think we do need to stay a little bit cautious on that for a bit longer. Temperature anomalies are looking still quite chilly, so although the upper air temperatures are around average at the moment, and then trending warmer at the end of the week and into the weekend, the actual temperature anomaly still looks quite cool for the west of Europe. Look how cold it is across Scandinavia and western parts of Russia, by the way. That's the reason, of course, that the snow cover is hanging on there across northern Scandinavia and also down into northern parts of Russia. And usually cold temperature anomalies there. Back in Europe, we are still generally a little bit cooler than average. The British Isles and Ireland coming out a little bit cooler than average. I suspect as we move through the course of the coming week, we do keep an eye on these most days. As we move into the coming week, we will probably see those temperature anomalies going a little bit milder than average. So by around Wednesday, Thursday, I suspect we'll see the west of Europe being covered by red colours. Precipitation anomaly is looking like this, about average really, so that is more unsettled than we've had it over the past few weeks, to be honest, although still not a wet signal at all. These may trend wetter over the next few days. We'll have to wait and see. So this is how the GFS is looking for Thursday. We've got low pressure down to our southwest, starting to encroach into the British Isles. It's probably still mostly dry on Thursday, but there could be showers in the southwest. But by Friday, it does look like it's turning more unsettled. That little kink in the ice bar just there is a weather system that's pushing northwards. It's introducing that warmer air from the south, but it's also introducing showers or longer spells of rain. Then we keep things unsettled into next weekend, 13th, 14th of May. Everything's driving in from off the Atlantic, although you notice pressure is already trying to rise from the Azores across France, already trying to get a ridge to our south. That strengthens a little bit as we go up towards day 10. So this takes us Tuesday 16th of May, where that ridge is building across France, probably turning things mostly dry for England and Wales. There could still be some rain for Scotland and for Northern Ireland. Also bringing up warmer air from the south, from the Azores as well. So that could well lift temperatures into certainly the upper teens, possibly below 20 Celsius. And then that's how we look on day 10, still with the high pressure to the south of us from France in towards the southern parts of England. This area of low pressure could be bringing wet and windy weather into Scotland. And then that high pressure pulls back into the Atlantic then as we go beyond day 10 and we bring cooler air, possibly some showers down from the northwest. The ECWF does look quite different to that though. Now we've got this area of low pressure to our south. On Thursday, that's threatening showers into the south and west. By Friday, it looks like we're all turning unsettled with some much needed, very much needed rainfall potentially across the country into the weekend, and well, still staying unsettled really. High pressure again trying to rise to our south. You notice the high pressure never really with the ECWF is going away from Scandinavia. That becomes important because whilst we might have showers over the weekend, next weekend, what happens is that this area of high pressure just comes back and takes over again. So as we run up to day 10, this is Tuesday 16th of May, high pressure is back in, and there it is on Wednesday the 17th of May, which is day 10, and the high pressure is back in over Scandinavia, but winds are back into the east again. That's bringing more dry conditions in across the country, and this time with warmer temperatures as well. So I think it's all a little bit uncertain about what's going to happen with this unsettled spell. It does look like we'll get some showery bursts Thursday, Friday. They may last into the weekend, but whether it goes on beyond sort of 3 or 4 days into an unsettled spell, and that's what you will think is going to happen by looking at the GFS ensembles, to be honest. They do look quite unsettled. Whether that is the way it goes, I think we do need to stay cautious because the ECWF is very, very quickly bringing us back into the Scandinavian high. So let's wait and see on that. In the more immediate time frame, a lot of dry weather until around Thursday and Friday, and then it turns a bit more unsettled, and then probably some rain at the end of the week and into the weekend. Don't forget to check out the summer analogues, as I said, on the homepage, and you can have a look at on the summer updates page later on. Today there'll be a report that goes with them, and also today I'm going to be starting our Glastonbury page just with a little written post about what people should be looking out for as we head off in towards June, the all-important Glastonbury period. So if you've got any interest in that, then come back to that later on today. Right, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.